Okay, Saints fans, we'll take a quick look at the just released 2023 preseason and regular season schedule. So, just initial thoughts. Not going to do any schedule predictions at this time. Um, here's honestly my first thought and first impression about this schedule before we kind of look at this game by game. Uh, with this roster, with this offseason, with the improvements they've made, if Dennis Allen doesn't win at least 10 to 11 games this season, he should be fired the moment the clock hits zero in week 18. Period. There is absolutely no excuse for not winning 10 games with this roster and this schedule. Let's talk about why. I'm not going to talk too much about the preseason. I actually do like going against the Chiefs and the Chargers in the preseason. Um, the Texans, that's a young roster, so and it's also the third preseason game, so it's kind of one half the dress rehearsal and the other half, you know, you just try not to have guys get hurt. So not nothing major in the preseason in a weird way. I'm kind of glad we don't face the Ravens. I don't know, just I don't like playing the Ravens in the preseason. It seems to be bad juju for me. So starting off week one, Tennessee Titans at home. So obviously Tyjae Spears, Tulane's star running back, drafted by the Titans. Will Levis, master of Mayo himself. Week one, the Saints should win this game. The Titans have a good but not great defense. It's in the Superdome. The Saints have a completely revamped offense. Lots of guys there that by this point in time, Derek Carr should have lots of chemistry with. It's early in the season, so pretty good chance Michael Thomas won't be hurt. From there, you actually get the extra day's rest. You're on Monday Night Football at Carolina. I actually like getting the Panthers game in Carolina out of the way early in the season. Yes, that means there's not a ton of film on the rookie, but it also means he hasn't had a ton of time to adjust to the NFL. And the Panthers don't have an incredible home field advantage. Next is at Green Bay. I am incredibly thankful that this is early in the season because the frozen tundra, bleh, that idiocy, it's a real thing later in the year, but in September, probably not so much. Next home against Tampa Bay. Tom Brady's gone. That roster's completely done over. Um, you know, no excuses. Then at the Patriots, again in October, very, very, very low chance of having any type of blizzard or anything like that at that time. Then at the Texans, we're talking about South Texas, we're fine. Thursday night against Jacksonville, so not a huge fan of obviously Sunday followed by Thursday, but even though Thursday games can be kind of brutal, the Jaguars are going to be good. However, if the Texans are who we expect the Texans to be, and the Saints are who we hope the Saints are going to be, the Saints should win the game against the Texans comfortably, and that gives you a good chance to be able to then go be at home against the Jaguars, and at this point in the season, hopefully really be rounding into form and make a statement. And then your third consecutive AFC South opponent is the Indianapolis Colts. One of the bigger wild cards in the NFL because they have some of the best players in the NFL, but also not a great roster. They're in a really weird spot. So, as much as the Texans and the Panthers in these first few games, you kind of have your first two picks. You have two athletic quarterbacks. Why did I not bring that up? Simple. I have a lot of faith in the Fauci pick. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to be really good early. I think he brings an element of speed to the front seven this team has desperately needed for a long time, and I think it's going to make a difference when it counts. Next game is Bears at home, and then at the Vikings. I would be like, November, Minnesota, family's kind of from there, very familiar how freaking cold it is. Good thing, they're in a dome. So, home against Chicago, at Minnesota. That means both dome games. Sunday. Then you hit the bye. I think the Vikings are in store for a massive regression. Chicago scares me a little bit simply because Fields can be special. but we'll see. He has special games and he has not so special games. We'll see how, if at all that roster is improved. Then, pretty much, right around, right around Thanksgiving, you know, around here we don't serve up turkey for Thanksgiving. We have Falcon instead. Then you have what I think is going to be a 3-game stretch that is going to determine the Saints season. You play the Lions right after the Falcons game, which comes right after the bye, which again really should be no excuse to lose. You have the Lions, the Panthers, and the Giants all at home. They should go 3-0 in those games. They need to go 2-1. If those games go well, you have at the Rams, at the Bucks, and you finish the season with the Falcons at home. That's not just an advantageous schedule. That's a really well-paced schedule. There's really not any kind of brutal stretch in there. You don't have any, horrible, oh my god, it's 3 games in 11 fucking days or something like that. You don't have a cross-continental trip this time. You don't have, I think, an on-the-road streak. I think the longest is 2 games. So it's, 1 at home, 2 on the road, 1 at home, 2 on the road, 1 at home, 1 on the road, home, road, and then it's road, home, 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 road, road, home. Like, the longest 3-game stretch is actually 3 home games, and that's where you have what I think are probably the 2 best teams. Now, we're going to talk about the Panthers in a second, but the 2 best teams on this schedule are the Lions and the Giants, going off of last year, looking at their coaching situation, how those rosters are ascending, etc. The Lions are going to test DA's defense the way no other team on the schedule will, other than maybe the Panthers. If Bryce Young is special, the Panthers will probably test them a bit, but I think he's going to be a whole hell of a lot better in year 2 than year 1. And I think that on offense, it's not a great roster. It's a solid, it's good roster, but it's not a great roster. And then you have the Giants, who the last time they played DA's defense did nasty, mean, very, very, very dirty things to Dennis Allen in the 4th quarter in a game they had no business losing. But that's really it. Those are my initial impressions. I think it's a really well-paced schedule as far as not being very disadvantageous to the Saints. There's not an absurd amount of travel. There's not a lot of teams that project to be particularly good. There's no teams on here that I think have the Saints now. Other than the Panthers. The Panthers have given them real problems the last couple of years, especially the Panthers' defense. I think Carr's ability to get the ball out quickly, in particular his ability to run and extend plays, I think is going to help negate a lot of the problems that the Panthers give them. And the Saints' passing game should be worlds better than it was the last couple of years. So those are my thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you agree or disagree, feel free to let me know in the comments. And it is always appreciated if you comment on the videos and also subscribe to the channel. Always helps the channel and helps the visibility of the videos. So that is always appreciated. Hope you'll have a good day and talk more Saints soon.